Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Earlier this week, it was reported that WWE had a major backstage shakeup, which saw them take out the trash, literally. While the biggest name to be released was Mark Carrano, the former director of talent relations, another notable name was John Cone, who'd reportedly been stripped of his senior manager of talent relations responsibilities while remaining with the company as a referee. However, PW Insider is now reporting that this decision has been reversed, and Cone is already reportedly back to his senior manager duties. WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley had reached out to WWE on Twitter prior to this reported decision, commenting that John Cone did a very good job as senior manager of talent relations and that he hoped the company will rethink that decision. The reason for WWE reversing the decision is currently unknown, but with Cone remaining in his senior position, the hope for his son Nicholas to return and destroy the tag team division once again remains alive. As previously mentioned, the biggest name to be released in this backstage shakeup was Mark Carrano, and now much more has since come out about his dismissal, including the reactions of many current and former WWE stars. Fightful Select reported a ton of news on the subject, with former WWE talent unanimously against Carrano. We heard from over a dozen former names in WWE, and the reaction was unanimously in favor of Carrano being let go. From simple Mark Carrano responses to more elaborate explanations, the temperature we took was consistent, but with varying degrees of fervor. Multiple former wrestlers called Carrano a snake, while one said that they thought deep down he was a good guy who let the power get to him. Fightful also noted that current WWE stars and staff told them that they had seen Carrano's firing coming as his power had been taken away recently. This coincides with the recent return of John Laurinaitis to his old backstage role. However, one longtime WWE name told them they believed Carrano would be back because he knows where too many bodies are buried. Sounds kinda ominous. Maybe he was the one digging graves for The Undertaker for all those years. That's what it means, right? But it wouldn't be fair to only highlight the negative reactions, as one talent told Fightful many of the talent who had issues with Carrano also had issues with the office in general, and when they saw Carrano discipline talent, it wasn't in a condescending or hurtful manner. One of the many WWE stars released last week was former United States champion Kalisto. This seemed like a fairly open and shut case, as aside from a brief return in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, Kalisto hasn't wrestled since Survivor Series. Now it's been revealed that there is more to his release than previously thought. Dave Meltzer reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, over time Kalisto grew unhappy about being part of an act that was booked as prelim jokes. He even made a tweet about it. Kalisto kept asking out of the group and was continually told no. But Dorado asked if he and Metalik could be the team since Kalisto wanted out anyway, so they shot the angle for the split. There were never any plans to do anything with the split, and it was just a way to pacify Kalisto. But the other two kept being brought to TV, whether to lose or work main event, or occasionally get a win, even if it was to be bodies to chase the 24/7 Brigade, or Kalisto simply wasn't booked anymore and was cut. It was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE Hall of Famer and all-time great Terry Funk is currently recovering from COVID-19. The report stated that Funk is currently isolating and believes he contracted the virus while at church a few weeks ago. Funk is 76 years old, but is said to be doing fine. We'd like to take this opportunity to wish Funk a speedy recovery. And now it's time for a review of last night's episode of SmackDown. 7,000 steps. In about 5 minutes. The show opened with a recap of Cesaro and Roman Reigns' interaction from last week, complete with a clip of Cesaro at WrestleMania. Hey guys, have you seen that Cesaro spans Seth Rollins on his shoulders with no hands at WrestleMania? Crazy that! The voice clip dubbed over from Michael Cole said, and I quote, "The single most impressive moment in WrestleMania history." Now look, I know it seems like from last week's review and this one, I'm hyper-focusing on this one very small thing, but if that quote doesn't sum it up, I don't know what will. It was very cool. It was not the most impressive moment in WrestleMania history. Cesaro himself has even had a more impressive moment at WrestleMania when he eliminated Big Show in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Why isn't the takeaway from the match at WrestleMania 37 the fact that Cesaro got his first WrestleMania singles win? Surely that's the more important bit. Anyway, Cesaro starts in the ring wanting to cut a promo, but Seth Rollins interrupts before he can start and cuts a really good promo, blaming the rain delay on his loss to Cesaro at WrestleMania. Cesaro wants to fight Rollins, but Jey Uso comes out and wants to fight Cesaro. But before anyone can fight, Daniel Bryan comes out, and so does Reigns. After a little promo back and forth that was fun enough, we got ourselves a tag team match, players. A really long tag team match, players. This opening match of Bryan and Cesaro versus Rollins and Uso went through 2 ad breaks and was really really good. The action was awesome and there were so many near falls. I'm a huge fan of putting on longer matches like this on TV, and it made it feel really special. However, it's not all positive, because the finish came only when Rollins walked out on the match for pretty much no reason. Bryan then put away Jay with the running knee, and Rollins walking away really detracts from the babyfaces winning because they won when it was 2-on-1. It's not much of a victory. Afterwards, Cesaro continues to swing Jay around a lot, while Bryan cuts a promo on his behalf, calling out Roman, wanting an answer to whether he'll accept a Universal Championship match against Cesaro. Roman doesn't answer or come out at all to save Jay, because he's an asshole. After this came Tamina versus Nia Jax. Reginald's back, and he's already ruining everything. This match was not very long. Reginald attempted to cause a distraction, which led to Shayna Baszler getting kicked instead of him, so she got mad at Reginald. That distracted Nia Jax, who then got rolled up by Tamina. Now I've got some real mixed feelings on this, and that mix is anger, disdain, disappointment, apathy, sadness, indifference, lethargy, acrimony, indignation, irritation, resentment, and misery. This women's tag division is the worst thing in WWE by such a long way. It's the little dose of Raw on my otherwise quite pleasant SmackDown. God, this sucks. And it's so annoying because they're doing the thing that we've been wanting WWE to do for years. When someone gets over with an audience, push them. And the WrestleMania crowd were really into Tamina, so they're pushing Tamina. Why can't you do this with anyone other than Tamina though? Now I feel like I can't be annoyed at it because WWE actually listened. Sort of. Ah! Backstage, Adam Pearce tells Daniel Bryan he can't just snap his fingers and make a Universal Championship match between Reigns and Cesaro. Can't you? Isn't that like your entire job? Aren't you the one that made it a triple threat at WrestleMania? There was a great backstage promo next between Big E and Kevin Owens, where they were overly friendly to one another, underpinning tension over the Intercontinental title, as Owens was going to be facing Cruz for the title next. The match itself was quite fun, as is almost every match on SmackDown every week, except the women's tag stuff, obviously. However, Commander Aziz Nuts, got him, caused a distraction and allowed Apollo to roll up Kevin Owens, which is the exact same finish as the Nia Jax versus Tamina match. Owens hits a stunner on Cruz, but then Aziz hits a Nigerian nail on Owens, which is the Samoan spike previously used by Umaga. Sami Zayn's also there and dances over a prone Kevin Owens. Kayla Braxton backstage says, never get tired of Sami Zayn's dancing. Switching gears now, here's Paul Heyman. Heyman then confirms we're getting an answer to Cesaro's challenge by the end of the night. Up next was the return of Aleister Black, complete with new gimmick in a really intriguing vignette. The art style of this was beautiful, and Black spoke of a story of him being taught to become the dragon, and spoke of Father a lot, a character we saw wearing a crucifix. I'm really intrigued as to where this is going, and I'm on board. Give me more of it. The Street Profits and Rude and Ziggler had a backstage promo. God almighty, they're still feuding. Bayley comes in and separates them up, before then mouthing off about Bianca Belair and saying she wants to win the title. In a nice little touch, Montez Ford comes back in with Belair on loudspeaker, and she says she'll be right there. After an ad break, Bayley changes tact, saying she'll be honored to face Bianca at Backlash, and then she walks off. And then she comes back. And then she laughs like a lunatic, and then she walks off. What the f was that? The Alpha Academy faced the Mysterios next, and the Mysterios won clean. I guess they're next in line for a tag title shot? Cesaro and Bryan came out next for Roman's answer, and Roman cut a wonderful promo here, firing up against Cesaro, saying he hasn't earned it. Instead, he gives the challenge to Daniel Bryan, saying he can face him next week on SmackDown for the Universal Championship, but if he loses, he has to leave SmackDown, and Bryan accepts. That's a huge match for next week's show, and I don't think Bryan's winning. Is he just gonna go to Raw? Maybe. Is this linking in with his contract expiring? Maybe. I don't know. I'm quite curious, and this was a very effective angle because it made me want to watch next week's show. Can't complain about that. So that was the show. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. This felt like a much better show than last week, and I feel like the stories progressed much more logically. We had new challenges and feuds, sort of, and I'm still really into the Cesaro and Reigns story and where that goes. I just hope it doesn't lead to a title shot at Backlash for Cesaro, because that would be too soon. Also, I'm all in right now on Aleister Black. Give me more of that. Overall, this show gets a low 4 out of 5. Smacktastic. The newest episode of Explained is up on Parts Unknown, where Laurie dives into wrestling belts. Where did they come from? Why does wrestling use them, and how are they made? You can watch it by pressing the video on the right, and press the video below that to find out more about the huge backstage shakeup in WWE. I've been Shakeup Pete. Subscribe here and help us reach 800,000 subs, and jam that jam.